Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here. We're taking a trip from Kalos to Hoenn, and we're bringing Diggersby with us. Now, Diggersby gets an insane amount of moves in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that the tutors give it everything. Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Iron Head, Knockoff, Low Kick, Gunk Shot. It pretty much gets every kind of coverage because it's a normal type. Normal types tend to see some of these insane distributions, and it's really insane. However, we're dealing with Diggersby. So that's where we have some problems, because Diggersby, while it does have a really good amount of attack from the huge power, it just doesn't have the rest of the stats elsewhere. That putting a 78 speed on it, really tough to get going. So let's go and see what the average Diggersby set looks like. Now, a lot of people, they'll either run Scarf. I feel Scarf isn't that good because you have to hit Super or you just don't have enough damage when you're sacrificing from that. And then you have Focus Sash. Focus Sash with Swords Dance is pretty much going to make you like a wall breaker. That if the Pokemon's slower than you, good for you. You're going to go and KO it eventually, if not in one hit. But then from that, you don't really have too much. Problem about Diggersby is it's like a discount Scizor or Zoomerl at some points, because you're not getting as much damage and you're not getting as much coverage from your priority. That with Scizor, you have Technician. With the Zoomerl, you have a Water Attack, and it's all pretty good. But just a base Quick Attack, you're not going to get too much damage on top of that, and then you also have Earthquake in return. So pretty much you're looking for a huge stab move into a Quick Attack follow-up KO, or you're just trying to go for the coverage or an incredibly frail Pokemon, and then you can make it work from there. But again, the speed is very low, so you're not like a sweeper kind of Pokemon, and then when you take the attack into consideration, 232 on the attack does double into 460, and then when you get a Swords Dance up, you're dealing with over 900 attack in one turn. That's pretty awesome, and it does create a lot of strength, but there are Pokemon that just do its job better, that if you're taking that time to Swords Dance, you're still very vulnerable, and then you just have so little speed, you can't really make much of it. And even then, when we keep breaking it down, Return and Earthquake. These moves give Stab. So Stab Earthquake is at 150 power, Stab Return is going to be over 150 power because of that max 102, so like 153 power. That creates a problem because Fire Punch, Ice Punch, all of the punches, and even Iron Head to an extent, if you're hitting super effective, you're not even getting that much damage. That Ice Punch, if you're hitting super, you're doing less than a neutral hit return. Same for Earthquake, like you're doing the same as a neutral Earthquake, so it only adds something if you're going for that 4 times effectiveness. And that's kind of it, like since Return is only walled out by Steel and Rock, well, Earthquake hits that super. You really get all the coverage that you need. The only thing that you can take off from here is put in the one that you want. You know, with Fire Punch, you're getting the Ferrothorn, you're getting the Scizor coverage, and then with Ice Punch, you're just getting that super awesome secured hit on Dragon-type Pokemon. But then that's kind of it, like your coverage is really good, but the speed is where you're going to have to play into it. Now, the way I see it is that if you get a Sticky Web set up, or you get any kind of speed boost. Like, if you can Baton Pass speed boost into this Pokemon, it's over. Like, if you can get this thing 2 speed boosts going over 500 speed while smashing into opponents with a Swords Dance on that Focus Sash, you have excellent coverage when you come through all this, that you're going to be really devastating your opponents, and it's going to be very solid, but that's kind of it. Also, you're going to be very frail to priority. So if we look at Sticky Web, for example, Sticky Web cuts your opponent's speed by 33%, so it cuts it down to 66%. What this is going to do is, with an Adamant Nature, it's going to let you outspeed any Pokemon that's under 125 base speed, even invested with a Timid or Jolly Nature. Now, what happens is, if you go with the Jolly Nature for yourself, so let's go and highlight that one, now you're going to be outspeeding any Pokemon that have 145 base speed as they come in under the Sticky Web. Now, Sticky Web doesn't apply to some Pokemon, but the ones that does apply to, you're going to be able to get some monstrous outspeeds, and then with your coverage, you're looking at some very high KO potential, especially after setting up a Swords Dance. So that's the problem with Diggersby, like, it needs a lot of speed support, it needs a lot of care. You can put it on Trick Room, but it's kind of frail for doubles, and like the setup really takes it away from that. So it does create a lot of weird positions that Diggersby, in theory, it's incredible that you're dealing with an insane amount of attack, incredible coverage, but it just kind of falls flat because everything doesn't really come through enough. Now, I was just thinking about a tankier Diggersby. That this is where it gets really interesting, is because it's one of the very few Pokemon with Cheek Pouch, one of 2, essentially, that you get Bunnelby, Diggersby, and Dedenne, and this is the tankiest of the Pokemon with Cheek Pouch. Cheek Pouch is awesome. It restores your health by 33%. You get 33% of your health back when you eat a berry. Combine that with Citrus Berry, which gives you a quarter of your health, and now Cheek Pouch is giving you over 50% of your health every time you eat a berry. And then the cool thing about Diggersby is it gets recycled in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for the Tutors. So now I was thinking, wait, we could actually maybe get a really tanky, disruptive Diggersby that can do a lot of work. That Diggersby has Super Fang. So my idea is Bulk Up. that you want to invest into the special defense pretty well. Now, I'm always at a mix on when to do this. You know, sometimes you try to go for a really even amount, other times you can try to go for a more disparity. That with this, you know, you can max out the defense, just go with that bold nature, that way you have some kind of physical durability as you get set up, and then you're good to go from there. That 374 on the hit points is alright, and then 253 on the special defense, as long as you're not getting hit super effective, it can work out. After that, you use 2 bulk ups, and you're going to be doing an okay amount of damage. Mostly you're going to be getting all of your damage from Super Fang. That Super Fang, half current hit point, done, just like that. So if Pokemon's in at full hit points, use Super Fang, cuts them down to half, and if you have like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 bulk ups, knockoff, removing their item, doing that bonus damage, could have enough to get a KO. So you just Super Fang knockoff, and then you wrap up some KOs while being incredibly physically defensive. And that's where Recycle comes in, that whenever you anticipate being dropped below half hit points, use Recycle, and it's like using Recover. That since you're getting 50% of your hit points back, the only real problem here is special. Like if you can maybe Baton Pass Calm Mind or any kind of special defense boost in Diggersby, it can become really unstoppable. But if your opponent has a lot of physical Pokemon or you're using it as a physical wall, Diggersby is going to do a lot of work right now setting up like a Recover. I think that this is a really neat thing, that Recycle into Cheek Pouch with the Citrus Berry does have some potential because Diggersby is in a really awkward place. Like it has that huge power, it has that awesome ability, it just doesn't have the bulk of other Pokemon like Mawile and Azumarill, and then when you're playing priority setup, it just doesn't have the damage. And then there's also just a couple other things that we can look at. So we're looking at, you know, an example of some moves that you can have. I was thinking that you can just take off Return. That Earthquake gives you such good coverage, you might as well have Fire and Ice Punch for other things, or Gunk Shot, and then whichever one you feel you don't need, depending on your team composition, you can run Agility. So let's just take off that and go for Agility. Now what I like about Agility is it gives you a lot of health bulk. It makes up for all those speed problems, and then what you do is, you know, you just invest a little into speed, so at level 50 after using Agility, you're outspeeding 135 base speed Pokemon, and then you're throwing out really awesome attacks from there. That Ground is going to be awesome against Steel and Rock, Gunk Shot is going to give you that Fairy coverage, and then Ice Punch is just going to round you out against Dragons, so I think you're going to be pretty well off. Now, Life Orb is an interesting call, that you can go for that extra damage. That Life Orb into Agility, if you're hitting super effective, is going to get you almost any KO that you want as long as you're hitting that super effective hit. And then because of your health bulk, you should be allowed to get off that Agility as long as your opponent isn't absurdly strong or as long as they're not hitting you super effectively. You just need to make up for that speed, and then Diggersby can potentially work. On that, you know, there's a lot of potential here, a lot of really good moveset setups, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's how you use Diggersby in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.